Fan Report! Aloha and mahalo! I am Guy the Hawaii Blues fan, and it was draft day. Yes, it was. The Blues ended up taking 6 draft picks. Got an extra one by making a good move. We'll talk about that. But I'm not going to be alone today. No. I have a guest. I have a special guest. I want to welcome from inside the rink a man who was at the Stanley Cup Finals, was able to report on it. Please welcome Mr. Ryan O'Hara. Ryan, welcome to the show, my friend. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, no problem. Guy, right? I've been wanting to get you on for a while, but I just didn't know what your schedule was, so I just decided today, hey, I'll just see if he wants to come on.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, I'm just chilling at home. And
yeah, no problem, man.
Turning up my NHL 22 stats to 100 just so I can wipe people out. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Thank you so much. Beautiful dog, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's Cream, and this is Ice, the husky.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
nice. So let's get into the draft first of all. Now who do you cover for Inside the Rink?
The Avalanche.
The Avalanche.
The Avalanche didn't exactly do much in the draft, so there's really not much to cover. But other than the fact that we're gonna have 2 vegetables on defense. In the names of kale and romaine, so we're gonna have some vegans out there. So it's gonna be
interesting. The Avalanche to me got a flat F. They got a flat F in the draft.
Yeah,
right?
You kind of had to expect that, especially with how the team is stacked. They don't really have a lot of cap space and all that. So
well, but the thing is they traded a majority of their players to get a goalie that I don't think is better than the goalie they had.
I agree.
Right? I mean, Georgiev is young. I'm sorry. Georgiev is young and can, get up there. But, like, the Avalanche, they're losing. I mean, they're going to lose 8 players, maybe 7 to 8 players from this team.
Probably,
now, I understand they're keeping the core, which is good, but you're losing a lot. I mean, a whole bunch of chemistry that just doesn't come back.
Exactly,
right?
Because you look at the Avalanche depth, and I like to compare them with the Oilers, who were very top-heavy. So you look at Draisaitl and McDavid. Those two scored 60% of the regular season goals for the Oilers. And you saw how far they got. They as soon as they faced a team that had depth like the Avalanche, they got wiped out.
Yeah.
And the Avalanche, their top 2 scorers, I believe, were Rantanen and McKinnon. They scored 22% of the goals. Yeah. So you compare that to 60, so that means I'm not a huge math guy, but that's over 70% of the other guys contributing. That's a team.
Yes, but you're losing a lot of that now.
They're going to be losing a couple of those guys, maybe even Kadri too. But
Kadri to me. Now we'll talk more about Kadri later. But the Avalanche. See, I think we talked offline. I'll let everybody know. Me and Ryan have absolutely opposite views of things that happen in the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
However,
I think he's even getting annoyed already.
However, he has graciously agreed to debate with me about the plays, and I told him I let him know it's gonna get contentious, man. I did. Now, Wendy, I was looking for you yesterday, buddy. I wanted you to come on so bad yesterday. I know. I'm glad you didn't. I'm glad you didn't hang yourself yesterday, Wendy. I'll just say that, my friend. I'll say that. So the Blues, now we'll get into everybody's grades, but I want to get into the Blues. I think the Blues had a C+, right? Yeah. The reason I say that, first of all, they got a pretty good, they got a good steal. I think they got a steal in the first round. I think they got a guy that was going to go right around where they thought they were, but should have gone a little bit higher. I mean, he's got and he's going to play a year in college to get some more seasoning. And right now, college hockey is hot. College players are really becoming the mainstay of the NHL. The juniors, guys that go to college and get that year or 2 of experience, are doing very well in the NHL.
Absolutely. And the speed of the game has increased so much. You even go, because obviously, like, I played for a long time and I took a long break, and I went back and was at the Big Bear Ice Arena in Aurora. I believe it's technically in Aurora, but you can call it Denver if you like. But man, these kids nowadays, they're insanely it's so much of a faster game than it used to
right?
be. So it's hard to get adjusted.
Well, yeah. So for me, and then the Blues did something, and I actually think some people don't understand this. I understand it completely. I'm just surprised with the team. They traded Husso for a third-round pick with Detroit, and then
Yeah,
Husso goes to Detroit and signs a 3-year deal. I heard it was for $4 million per.
for
I haven't
4.75, I believe.
4.75 per. So
And I
just
think
on.
that I honestly don't think that's a good deal. And I find it really weird. A lot of NHL fans they like to dig too much into the money. Like, oh, he's overpaid, but at the same time, look what Stevie Y. That guy knows what he's doing. What he was able to do with the Lightning, he's trying to duplicate that with Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not 100% sold on Husso, and we got a guy. Matt Lowe will tell you I'm not all on. I seen Husso for what he was. I mean, I saw Husso put up good numbers for a while, but I also saw him dip really bad. And to me, what he was during the playoffs is what he was. I mean, I can see more of that. Husso is who I saw in the 21 series. In the 21, he's who I saw at the beginning of this season. And then you had an anomaly, which was January and February, where he played really well. I mean, above his norm. But then you have March and April, and he drops right back down. He goes. His numbers look decent, except when you isolate them. His numbers in compared to his early numbers, they skyrocket. He was not somebody that I thought what was going to do. He would have done better with a better team, right? But I think Edmonton. I know Edmonton was looking for him, but I don't think Edmonton was the right place for him either.
Yeah.
Right? He needed to go to a place that had a decent defense. And they don't. And Edmonton doesn't, and I don't think Detroit does either. Right?
Yeah, not right now. I'm trying to think. Maybe Philly or New Jersey probably because right now, New Jersey and Philly are trying to bring back, are trying to build up their defensive cores to the 2010 level, and I think that New Jersey picking up Simon Nemec. I expected Nemec to go to the Philly, but Nemec going to New Jersey, that's going to be excellent. And Nemec's not an overly physical defenseman, but once he picks up that man strength, I think that's going to be another tool in his arsenal.
Oh,
so I think the Devils are going to be very interesting to watch next season.
And that's fair. I mean, that's absolutely fair. For me, I heard a rumor today, and it almost it made me laugh so bad. Somebody put out that the Blues are trying to trade Tarasenko to the Devils for, and I forget who it was, but it doesn't matter because I can almost guarantee you the Devils are not on not on Tarasenko's teams he'd be willing to be traded to.
Yeah, and plus I think Tarasenko. There was a rumor that he rescinded the trade request too. That he didn't actually want to be traded.
Yeah, I don't think he didn't. He doesn't want to be traded.
No, and
right?
I don't think New Jersey would be interested anyway, just because of how inconsistent he's been over the last couple seasons. Not as far as numbers go, but I think there was a stretch where he only played 4 games, unfortunately. And he's a great player. It's just he's always hurt, kind of like Evgeny Malkin. The Penguins are considering not re-signing him because he's good when he's playing, but when there's these big stretches where he's always hurt, and them signing Chris Letang to a 6-year contract puts them in a bind as far as cap space.
Yeah, Malkin's gone.
Smith too.
Yeah, Malkin's gone. But Malkin, see, this is the thing. I don't think a lot of players realize that the money they thought they were going to get is the money they're going to get, right? Mm-hmm. They need to. I think a lot of players and agents need to understand in the current economy, right? The contract isn't worth what you think. If we're making $5 million now, right? And you're thinking, oh, I'm going to get a raise. That raise isn't there. $5 million, getting that same $5 million is a raise, because right. I talked about this on my show with some others. the original cap number that was expected for this year, and this was prior to COVID, was 86.5. Well, the cap is 82.5. You're missing $4 million that, everyone thought when they signed all these contracts that they would have. It's not there. The money's not there, and these players aren't going to get that money. RFAs are the ones that I think are going to hurt the most, because a lot of RFAs are just going to get tendered a qualifying offer, which is 10% above what they were making.
Yeah.
Right? That's all they're going to get. They're going to get qualifying offers for 10% above, maybe a little bit more, but not much more. Right? Like, I think Matt Tkachuk. I think if Calgary's smart, they offer him the 1-year deal with the up, and if he doesn't sign it, he doesn't sign it. That's on him. Right? Because I just don't think that they have the things. Yeah, Wendy, I know you're pissed off. You know what, Wendy? If you want to join us, I'll send you a link, my friend.
Come on in, dude.
Again?
Oh, it's on him. Like, come on in. Why not?
Yeah. Wendy, me and Wendy have been doing our channels about the same amount of time, and we've been friends for a couple of years now, and we've gone on each other's channels, and since I do the live shows, he comes on mine a lot. So
this is actually my first time on a hockey podcast.
Oh, really?
That's true.
Well,
man.
I feel glad that I'm the one popping your cherry.
Yep, I guess so.
You'll enjoy Nick. He's great. We'll go back to the draft real quick. What teams do you think had a really good draft yesterday and today?
I mean, honestly, like I'm surprised because I grew up in Yuma, Arizona. The Arizona Cardinals are my team. I've made jokes about them the last couple of seasons that they need to be deported to Canada, but they blew the draft out of the water, drafting Cooley, Connor Geeky, the trade for Zach Kassian. It shows that that they're serious about being a hockey team and not. Well, I mean, the unfortunate part is that they're playing in kind of a local stadium.
I disagree with that. I don't think that's as bad as everybody's making it out to be. I think that there's an advantage there that everybody's forgetting, right?
Yeah.
And here it is. You go in, and what were they playing now? They had a 17,000 seat stadium that they were getting 9,000 people in. They were playing in a half empty stadium, and the majority of that was coming was, traveling fans, right? Now they're playing in a 5,000 seat stadium. They're going to play mainly with their fans in a full building. That feels like the fans are on top of you. Players can say all day long how embarrassed they are about it until they get in there and they hear what they haven't heard in years and years and years is a loud, raucous building cheering for them, not the other team. I think that's going to have a very positive effect on a team that everyone thought might have been in the running for Connor Bedard. I don't think they're going to be. I think that this team in that situation could challenge for a playoff spot.
I think so too. And also, going back to your point, I think it's a great opportunity for the players to connect with the fans, reminiscent of how Wayne Gretzky and Mark Messier said back in the day, that they had basically become family to like some of the fans in Edmonton that got season tickets. They would know them by name. I think that's a great opportunity for Arizona.
Yeah. JT Ramirez says, watch it still be half empty. Actually, no, their season tickets, even raising prices, they're selling out.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, let's welcome in our buddy, our pal, Nick from Windy City Hockey, who is probably the most disgruntled hockey fan I know right now. Hey, Nick, how you doing?
Well, the DeBrincat trade was the one that really was the worst one.
Really?
Yeah.
I would have thought Doc, what you guys got for Doc would have been worse.
No.
All right.
The reason behind Doc, I understand what they got for him, and they ended up getting a good prospect that I was actually happy with the draft pick they ended up making for Kirby Dach. And the DeBrincat trade, we did not get what he was worth, which I was even saying, if they're going to trade DeBrincat, they're going to screw it up and not get what he's worth.
Yeah, they got what? 1 first-round pick, a second-round pick, and a third-round pick.
Yeah.
And the second and third-round pick are like for future drafts, right?
No, we already used the second pick.
Okay, use the second pick.
The
Yeah,
third
I
round
can
pick is
understand your
for
frustration
in
there,
2
man.
years.
Yeah. No, so well, in my eyes, Chicago got a big fat F in this draft.
Honestly, no.
Okay.
The Hawks drafted well. The players they got are actually good, sought after prospects. I wouldn't say it's a failure in any way. It's a failure on Kyle Davidson and just forcing a trade basically to do a
Yeah.
trade. Otherwise, what the Hawks were able to do, they ended up with 3 first-round picks before even having a first-round pick yesterday, which not many teams can say they've done that before in the NHL.
True. They
True.
they did get 3 first-round picks, but I felt like they gave up more, especially if you bought into the full rebuild, which I feel like they did, maybe you're okay, but you still kept grandpas. You kept grandpas that had more value on the trade market than your youth. The grandpas aren't going to help you in the rebuild. The youth was.
The thing is the fact they have the full no move clause. Taze and Kane are going to be discussing this probably with Kyle Davidson in the next 24 hours, what their decision is if they want to remain Chicago Blackhawks. They both have the same agent. Their agent yesterday, Pat Brisson, who is, I know for sure, is Patrick Kane's agent. I don't know if Taze changed agents. Basically said, we'll not comment on this, what's going on right now. They basically still need to talk with each side of the parties, and that's what's going on. And the Hawks are going to be doing that within the next 24 hours.
Well, if you remember, Kane came out and had said earlier, I think I should be, and he used the word
did not.
What did he say?
Did not. You're wrong there.
Okay, what did he say then?
Oh boy.
Kane said a way to get this rebuild going, keep DeBrincat, and I will remain here. He did not.
That's not
Yes,
the quote. That's not the quote I'm talking about. I'm talking about the one where he said I should be in the decision process on the rebuild.
He wasn't saying it like that. He wanted to be part of the decision and helping get the right GM for this organization. They brought in Marian Hossa. They brought in Patrick Sharp. They brought in a couple other former Hawks from the core to help decide who to hire for the next GM of the Chicago Blackhawks. They did not go with having Kane and Taze in the decision, which frankly, you have 3/5 of the core of 3/5 of the core just helping decide on the GM, but they don't have the 2 core members who are still playing help decide who should be hired as GM, which that's right there is probably the issue Kane and Taze had.
Well, see, to me, I don't think a player should be in. A player shouldn't have a say in a management decision, in my eyes, unless you have ownership, which he doesn't. So that's kind of where I am.
Here's the thing: the Hawks have a history of basically screwing over star players of their franchise history, and it looks like they're doing it again.
Okay, and so where are you at? What would you grade the Hawks draft?
Drafting, I would say they did a high B.
Okay.
Trading, I will put it as a D.
Okay, so overall a C? C plus day?
C plus probably.
All right. Ryan having some issue. You still with me there? Okay.
I'm alive.
So Ian from our Minnesota Wild fan wants to know what we think of our picks this year. And actually, Ian, I'd rather know Minnesota surprised me.
Minnesota did well.
They did.
Well, they picked well, but the Marc-Andre Fleury signing. That really did surprise me,
That
right?
honestly didn't surprise me. 'Cause
Say again?
I was
Surprised me
hearing
a
that
little
I
bit,
was
but
hearing
it
Fleury wanted
didn't.
to stay.
Well, Kemper had said. So I talked. If you remember, Wendy, you got off, but we were in that group chat with Jesse. I can't think of her last name now, from Minnesota, NHL.com writer.
Okay.
You remember that last week? I think it was
I don't think so.
I don't know if I've met her.
Jesse Pierce. That's it, Jesse Pierce. Jesse Pierce had a thing, and it was the day that the Russian went out, told their guy that they were going to arrest him for not. And I'd asked her about that, and then they got into talking, and they talked about Kemper, and she said that she didn't think that Kemper was as upset, and that his wife made the tweet, not really knowing the whole situation. Yet now we're hearing that Kemper is extremely upset and wants out.
I mean, personally, I still think Fleury is the better of the two goalies. And if they can trade, there's multiple teams that are going to want to just inquire about Talbot in Minnesota. That's not going to be any question. There's going to be teams that are going to be out there inquiring about Talbot because now Washington traded away Vitek Vanacek, and they have been in the hunt for a starting goalie for a couple of years. The Maple Leafs are in the hunt for a goaltender. They're in the hunt for two goaltenders now.
Yeah. Well, you also got Kemper out there now because the Avalanche have said.
Yeah, Kemper's gone. Kemper's gone because they got Georgiev.
And the Oilers are still looking for a goalie because
The Oilers
is gone. Mike Smith's in longtime injured reserve and is probably done. It's probably a good thing. Yeah, there's a lot of teams looking for goalies.
There's teams that are going to be in the goalie market. The Hawks are still one of them, even though they got Peter Mrazek yesterday. Yeah. They're going to still try and acquire probably a very poor backup because we have a poor starter. Might as well go for a poor backup because we're tanking for Bedard next year. That's what it clearly is. And then you have probably the Blue Jackets might be in the market a little bit because I know they've been trying to shop Korpisalo the last few years. You're going to see a lot of goaltending movement between teams by trade or in the free agency next week.
And we're going to see a lot of teams that have been, to be respectful, not so good over the last 5-10 years are going to be a threat.
Ottawa,
the Devils, the Flyers, the Sabres. I honestly don't think the Kraken got a great deal on Shane Wright, to be honest with you.
Shane Wright falling into the Kraken, I think, works out well because they do have Matty Beniers ready to go. And you have Shane Wright with Matty Beniers. That is a good 1-2 right there. They just need a few more players on their team to actually start playing a lot better. Their defense is just terrible, and their head coach is not the greatest.
And get a veteran that can perhaps convince Shane that Seattle isn't the worst place in the world, because it was obvious to me from the way he reacted that he does not want to be there at all.
I don't think it was that. It seemed like he's okay with being in Seattle. I think the way he saw Montreal's table just sitting right up front of the stage, he just death glared them because he knows he was a player who is viewed as the number one prospect going into the 2022 draft for the last 5 years. And him getting drafted 4th overall to the Seattle Kraken could be very beneficial for Shane Wright by the fact the Kraken are building a franchise. They're going to probably be bad next year again, but not as bad, I don't think. And with Matty Beniers and Shane Wright together, I think they're going to set themselves up for a good young core in the future. him seeing Montreal's table, I think he just wanted to show, oh, he has a chip on his shoulder, and when he's going to play Montreal each time, he's going to light their.
I don't think it's just Montreal. I think it's
Oh yeah,
Montreal, Arizona,
Arizona
and who was
and
the third
the
team?
Devils.
The Devils. I think it's all three of them. Something got said. So something got said. He did an interview on draft day, and he said something that really like threw a red flag up for me. And he said they were asking him about his interviews, and he said that the Montreal Canadiens interviewed him 6 times. 6 times. Now this is the consensus number 1 overall pick until about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what was said in one of those interviews that backed them off.
Well,
right?
I heard in the grapevine that, he kind of came off as a cocky guy, as a kind of a cocky player, like, you guys need me, I'm the best. And that's what threw the red flag. And interestingly enough, if you guys have played NHL 22 via pro mode, if you're too cocky, you lose the number 1 overall pick.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what happened. That's kind of how it played out. So maybe if Shane had played that simulation a little bit, maybe he could have toned it down a bit.
Well, I see. I get that, but I don't, because the guy, everyone's talked him up and made him seem the cocking. I want my number 1 overall draft pick to have some cockiness to him.
If you looked at this year's draft and after every interview, you could tell a little bit of a cocky swagger from a lot of these prospects this year. Almost every one of the Hawks players they drafted has that cockiness to them, which is kind of shocking because they're coming to the Hawks right now, which right now we're a joke.
Well, I can't remember his name. The kid that Tampa Bay got at 30.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
he had the best interview.
Oh, he had not only the best interview, but just overall, the way he presented himself. Like when he went down, first of all, the white suit, the turtleneck, the USA belt, right?
Yeah, the cockiness out of him going into Montreal wearing a white suit, blue turtleneck, and
every team in the league. That kid is going to have a chip on his shoulder the size of Shane Wright. More than Shane Wright does, but I loved it. I want that type. I don't mind that type of player as long as they know when it's time to be that. You need to be that on the ice. I think you need to be that at the draft. I think you need to show that, that you were right for drafting me, and I'm gonna prove to you. I'm gonna make sure you know it and have that. I think that Montreal made a huge mistake in passing on Wright.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I really like the Slafkovsky pick. Now they also got they got another Slovak who was best friends with Slafkovsky, and they've played with each other so much. They know each other's back. They have chemistry with the 2 first-round picks they made last night. They made a smart move.
Mm-hmm. In my opinion, I think so. I'm with you on that too.
Okay, who's going to make it to the NHL first, Wright or Slafkovsky?
Slafkovsky. He has the best.
I think. Wright's not going to play college hockey, is he?
I think what Seattle's going to do, I don't think they want to rush him, so I could honestly see them give him a 9-game tryout next year and then send him back to the Kingston Frontenacs.
Yeah, well, actually, you could have 2 Kairos and 2 Barbashevs. Barbashev's brother got drafted also.
Kairou's brother got drafted by the Red Wings, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 2nd round. Both of them were 2nd-round picks. Both of them were 2nd-round picks. Barbashev's brother was much later.
Here's a strange one. Elias Pettersson to Vancouver. What was your thoughts on the...
It's like, don't they already have an Elias Pettersson?
Elias Petterssons.
Right? The only way you're going to know the difference is by the number. You're going to have to make sure that, Kairou's with the Stars. He went to the Stars.
Oh, I thought he ended up with Detroit. I couldn't think sure.
Might have been Barbashev's brother that went to, Rangers. Baby Barbashev went to the Rangers in the 5th round. Thanks, Matt Lowe.
I thought the Maple Leafs had a really bad draft, too. You know, I
Yeah,
was
the
surprised.
Leafs had a bad draft.
Leafs
Yeah.
had a bad draft. Avalanche had a horrible draft in my
I mean,
eyes.
the Avalanche after trading away every one of their picks. So
all but the sixth and the seventh.
yeah,
The last pick in the sixth round and the last pick in the last pick in the draft.
I mean, the Avalanche did get an A from the vegan community because they added another vegetable to the defensive line. You know,
Okay.
you got romaine and McCarr and kale.
Well, okay, you know, but
It's a joke. It was a terrible.
yeah, I know, but it's just for me. See, now we can talk about. So we have 3 Central Division guys here, right? I'm looking at the Central Division right now after draft day, and I'm going. There's maybe now. Originally, I said only 1, maybe 2 teams that had moved are gonna, be better next year. I'll say 2 now for sure, but I think everybody else is dropping back. Maybe actually, I'll 2, maybe 3. I think another team is still on the precipice for me, but I think, and I said it before, I think the Blues are in the best shape in the Central. The Central is theirs to lose
until they trade Tarasenko.
They're not trading Tarasenko.
I don't think they're going to trade Tarasenko.
They're not trading Tarasenko.
Right? He doesn't want to leave, but
Frank Cervelli is wrong more than he is ever right.
Not when it comes to the Hawks.
He may, but first of all, I saw this today that Tarasenko and Krug to the Devils for 2 players and a pick. That's not happening. I guarantee you that Tarasenko's worth those 3 players alone by himself. Right? So all the rumors coming out, and then the other thing is, and I know Ryan was talking about this earlier, I think Tarasenko has rescinded the trade request. I really do, because I don't think it was a trade request to begin with.
Yeah. I heard he doesn't want to leave.
Yeah, he doesn't want to leave. He's not going anywhere. And in fact, I would not be surprised if they're working on they're sitting with O'Reilly and Tarasenko right now trying to figure out who's got the best, what contract extensions they can get. Right? I really do think that. Tilo, yes, everyone knows that I have a crush on Tarasenko, but I've been saying I got to have a 10-minute conversation with Tarasenko. Private conversation. I don't let what he said to me out, but there was something he said to me that made me absolutely, because even before that, I didn't think that he was, I thought all the trade news was blown out of proportion. Right? And he said something to me, and I can't repeat it, but it told me that I was absolutely right. That it's not the way it went down. And the way that I think it went down was at the exit interviews, he said, look, I didn't get used right this year. I wasn't happy with that. And if you're not going to use me right, I'll give you a list of teams that I can go to. But if you're going to use me the way you want, I want to be here. Just use me the way you need to use me, the way I'm going to do best, not in positions that I'm not. Because you look at his leadership this season, he went from here to here with his leadership. And to me, that's enough right there I wouldn't let him go for nothing. Right? I wouldn't let him go for 5 first-round picks. Wouldn't let him go for nothing, to be honest with you.
I'd let him go for 10.
10?
Yeah.
That would even be hard. Maybe if it was 10 first-round picks in 5 years, maybe I'd think about it. But I just think that he has, and he's only 31. He's still got 4, 5, maybe even 6 years, because goal scorers don't stop scoring goals. Right? They don't lose that touch. They know how to score goals. Right? I seen you, Bob. I seen you. Oh man, I'm going. Wow, what a great conversation. So I want to get into a little bit of this. I want to get into the finals because Ryan, you got an opportunity that I hope someday to get. You got to be at the finals as a press.
I don't even know how that worked out. I only started writing about hockey June 5th, and I've played for 20 years. Like literally, it took me I had to figure it out in like 2 days. I don't know how it worked out, but.
I'm sorry. Say again.
I started writing about hockey literally June 5th. I played for 20 years.
Yeah.
And I joined Inside the Rink, and somehow it worked out.
Oh, well, maybe, they can work it out for me. Let me welcome my co-host, Ashley.
Ashley,
She
what's
has
up?
not been around a while, so
Hey.
I'm glad that she decided to stop door dashing and come join us. How you doing, Ash?
I'm good. How are you, gentlemen?
I'm
I
awesome.
am great. We're going to get into,
Good.
Ashley, we're going to get into one of your most favorite topics. We're going to talk about Nazem Kadri and the finals. Ryan got to be there up front and personal for all the games that were in Colorado. Absolutely. I mean, he did a great job. But we disagree on a lot of things. I want to first, no, we do. And I want to first talk about the Kane hit, right?
Oh,
A lot of people see the Kane. Now, Ryan, I'll let you explain the play and why you felt it was called correctly.
I don't know if it was called correctly or not. I just think, Kadri just entered the corner there at a bad angle, and Kane got it from behind. It wasn't a hard hit. It was I wouldn't call it a cross check. Probably roughing probably would have been the best call there.
Yeah,
But
but
I
it
feel
should it have been a 5-minute major?
But no, but just the way that he hit the boards, and then what happened with the thumb. I felt like the NHL felt that they had to make a call there. It sucks, but
No. Well,
Honestly,
I mean, it did hurt.
I honestly think that Kadri dove into the boards. I think he was trying to make a dive to make it look more and didn't realize how close he was to the boards.
Yeah,
It's the only way he injures his thumb.
I honestly don't know about that, but I mean, because I've played for a long time, so I've never intentionally tried to cause a penalty like to make it look worse. But I've been tripped, and then in the process of trying to recover, a certain way, I've ended up injuring myself. So I don't know. You'd have to ask Kadri on that one.
Well, you know what? Let's get back. Let's get back to the Bennington play, right?
Yeah.
I know you weren't there, but I know you watched the game, and I know you watched it full. I keep hearing from most Avalanche fans that it's Rosen's fault. That Rosen, and this is the word they use, pushed Kadri into Bennington.
I wouldn't say it was Rosen's fault. It's hockey. They both got into each other and he crashed into Bennington. It happened.
Well, okay, that on the surface, I can see that. But there's a lot of things on the surface. Mm-hmm. But when you start adding things to it, it takes away from that, in my eyes.
Like Kadri's history.
Well, that's one. His history with Bennington. That absolutely has to come into play.
Yep.
Right? Second, if you watch the play, you can see Kadri does go for the puck initially. Rosen lifts his stick while his skates are spraying snow. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Kadri's are not. He never tries to stop. Right? And then the other part of this that gets missed is what happened in game 2 and in the second period of game 2 and what happened at the beginning of game 3. At the start of the second period of game 2, the refs went to both benches and warned both benches about running into the goalies. Yep. Right? They did the same thing at the beginning of game 3. They went into both locker rooms and warned both teams to lay off the goalies.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that warning was already issued, correct? And you're agreeing with me, so that's correct. I've heard it from...
It was issued.
Right? It was issued. The warning was issued. And it didn't just go from it was reissued in game 3.
Yeah.
Right? Kadri, when he first contacts Rosen, shifts his weight. You can see his hips change weight, because if you watch normal play, when he hits Rosen, if he just doesn't change any direction, him and Rosen are going to go straight past Bennington. Bennington is here, they're here. He turns his hips and falls this way onto Bennington's legs. Rosen gets pushed into the top of Bennington. Mm-hmm. Right? To me, all of that right there says, all of that says that there's more to this play than everyone wants to say. On the surface, like you said, good hockey play.
Yeah, it's very possible, because if you look back at that play with James Neal when he was skating, I forgot who he was playing against, But as he was skating past the guy, he pretended he just intentionally like flexed his knee and hit and kneed him while he was down, and it gave him a concussion. So yeah, I don't know.
All right, no, I mean
it could have been something like that, but this game moved so fast.
Well, the problem here was the next day. Well, then you have the idiot Blues fans, and I want to say bandwagon fans, because I don't think any true fan would ever send bulletin board material to the opposing team, right? I know I wouldn't. As mad as I would not send a message to the opposing team that could be used as bulletin board material. I'm smart enough for that. But he gets all of that. But then in the game, he starts going and chanting to the crowd, "I injured your goalie."
Yeah, that's kind of messed up.
Right? So you can see why Blues fans have no love for Mr. Kadri at all.
Yeah, I understand.
Right? The 3 most controversial plays in the playoffs, he was a part of.
Yep.
Right? Now, let's talk about are you mad at me, Wendy? You look like you're going to kill me over there.
No, I'm just listening.
Okay. Now let's talk about the too many men on the ice. Now I know, Wendy, I'm going to let you breach this one because I know how you feel about it.
I'll go for it. Yeah, I'm chill, so don't worry.
Yeah, the too many men on ice, I did say when it happened, I felt like, yeah, there should have been a call for too many men. McKinnon clearly skated to the bench slowly when each player were already on the opposite side of the ice, it seemed like, and it should have been a call, but there wasn't. And at the time of play, refs clearly wasn't fully paying attention to it. There was a ref close to the Avs bench that some people do forget to mention, and the call was missed.
I feel like that there should have been at least I would compromise. I'd say there should have been a matching minor, because if you actually watch the tape and go back about 20 seconds, the Lightning actually did the same thing.
Well,
there was a guy that got on about 6 or 7 seconds. I'm not talking about the freeze frame. I'm talking about a player who got on too early, right after Kadri had jumped. So if they could have at least called a matching minor, said, okay, both you guys screwed up. Let's try this again. But the refs missed both.
Yeah, well, okay, so I kind of look back. I didn't see what I saw with Colorado was complete changes. Now, I'm not saying that they may have changed, that they didn't change early, but it was a change. Kadri thought there was going to be a change. I can't remember who it was. There's a player that's coming up, and then Kadri jumps on the ice, and then he doesn't get off the ice.
Yeah, and that happens a lot.
But see, that's still Kadri's fault.
Mm-hmm.
Because when Kadri jumps on the ice, that guy's still not within 5 feet of the boards.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He never gets inside they put the, what do you call it? The advertisement there. So you have the 5 foot blank. I know I'm missing something. I'll get it. The 5 foot blank. You see that he never's inside of that.
Yeah.
Right? Well,
oh, my bad. Go for it.
No. So my question is, Ashley, you're going to get in all kinds of trouble. You're going to get in all kinds of trouble. Yeah. If that happened, I would. I think I'd switch teams too. Mm-hmm. I think I'm on with you. I have a solution to this problem, and I'm working on an article about it, and I haven't, I got to get into it. I've just in my head a little too much. I think that the NHL needs to bring a 5th official into the game. And
I mean, as many officials as you need to get the job done without, interfering the game. Okay,
well, here's how you do it. They need a 5th official that's up in the press box.
Yeah, that'd be right? Good.
That's a procedural, not judgmental calls, procedural calls. Too many men on ice, puck over the net, offsides where the puck gets, because what you see a lot of teams do now, they're flipping the puck high, so it can't be seen on the film, right? The cameras can't see the puck.
Yeah.
The Blues had that issue. The Blues had that issue with Colorado. And then puck over the glass. Colorado had three delay of game penalties where the puck absolutely went over the glass that somehow no ref saw it.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
agree
to
with
me,
you.
that should be reviewable,
Mhm.
right?
Should
That
be.
should absolutely be reviewable.
Didn't I tell you I was a Chill fan?
You were what?
Didn't I tell you I was Chill?
Yeah, oh no, that's fine, man. I
There
don't.
you go,
Well,
man.
actually, you're chill on the show, but in the chat, you're not.
Huh? Oh yeah. I mean, chat's different, man.
Yeah, on the show he is, but in the chat, he's like on fire, man. Me and him got when
I type fast.
when one of the cadre things happened, like me and him were firing back and forth at each other. So, I think it was the Kane one. I think the Kane one.
No, it wasn't
Either
the
that or
Kane one. It was just the Too Many Men on Ice.
yeah,
And
the
then
Too
it was
Many
the
Men on
Bennington
Ice.
one.
Well, you had your thought process was, okay, great, but shouldn't the Avalanche have stopped him?
No.
Right?
Or
not the
the
Avalanche,
Lightning.
Tampa. Shouldn't the Lightning have
Yeah,
stopped
because
him?
to me, McKinnon wasn't part of the play, but at the same time, it was a 1-on-3. I felt like they at least could have stopped him, considering
Well, but see, I don't see it
Yeah.
as a 1-on-3. I see it as a 6-on-5, where he doesn't get the puck if he's not on the ice.
Mhm.
He enters the ice
Understandable.
illegally. So if he does, so he gets the puck. Well, the only reason he gets the puck is because he's on the ice illegally. That's my point there.
But that also goes back to my point that, around the same time, the Lightning actually also had an early start. So to me, it's kind of like they both had an early start, but the difference is
But
that
none of
Kadri
the
got
players
puck.
that were, well, I see what you're saying, but none of the players in Tampa that were involved in the early start had the puck.
Exactly. So
There's the
that's
difference. There's
yeah.
the difference. If your team, no, because you don't get too many men on ice for not having the puck.
Time
You
out.
get it for
Time
having
out.
the puck.
Time out.
Uh-oh.
There's a timeout.
We're done beating a dead horse. Hey, Wendy, was it right timing for Duncan Keith to retire?
Yes.
Well, I knew Keith was at the back end of his career. The last couple of seasons with Chicago, he worked with the Hawks last year to get a trade where he was closer to his family in Edmonton. And when I knew he asked for going closer to his family, I had a feeling probably that means he's ready to retire, but he wanted to play out his contract. I did not expect him to actually retire with 1 year remaining on his contract, because I thought he would have just wanted to just play it out and end his career off, not retiring a year before his contract expired. What this does with the Hawks, though, it gives them the capture penalty of $5.5 million for this year, 1.9 for the year following on Duncan Keith. It doesn't hurt the Hawks in any way, really, because we're going to be a bottom feeding team, and Keith, his number will be in the rafters of the United Center no matter what. He's the greatest defenseman in Blackhawks history. So I'm not angry in any way of seeing this happen, because I had a feeling anytime soon could happen for Keith to retire. The official announcement hasn't come out yet. It's just been released by the insiders of the NHL. But Keith, yeah, he's retired, and the capture is on Chicago.
Well, Ryan, that's actually a really good question, and it all depends on what CBA they signed under.
Yes. Duncan Keith signed his contract in the 2009-2010 season. That was the CBA prior to the 2012-2013 lockout. That they made the new CBA in January 9th of 2013. And in that CBA, they made a clause where no contract can be signed over 8 years if you're signed with the team you're on. If you go to free agency, you can sign a 7-year max contract. The contracts are
6.
no 7.
7.
So, Duncan Keith at the time, his contract was fully legal, and it was he signed a 15-year deal, and at the time, everyone thought Keith was not slowing down any time because he was so young when he signed it. he didn't even win a Stanley Cup yet. He won his first Stanley Cup about 3 months after signing this contract. What happened here? The capper capture came into play. The NHL probably needs to fix that because it basically penalizes the player for retiring on a team when he should have the choice to retire, and it penalizes the team he played for who signed the contract, even though at the time of the contract being signed, it was fully legal and there would not have been a recapture at that time.
Is Guy frozen?
I think Guy froze.
Oh, looks like we got Ryan back.
Yeah.
We lost the fearless leader, but we got Ryan. Okay. Did you want to add anything to the
Well, see, now under the new CBA, when a player retires, they go on LTIR. And they can be put on LTIR on 2 different periods. They can either put on before the season starts and after the season starts. If they're put on before the season starts, there is a penalty. If they are put on after the season starts, there is no penalty. And if you remember, we had this, the Blues had this with Steen. Steen retired, and the Blues were right at the cap, and they had Hoffman in for a 10-day tryout. When the tryout ended, the day that the season started, the next day, they put Steen on LTIR, and then they sign Hoffman. So it's kind of weird, but there are no right now. If a player retires, that money goes on LTIR.
Yes, but how Duncan Keith's contract was structured and when it was signed, and if he announced retirement, which he did, he cannot be placed on LTIR. Marian Hossa, he did sign his contract in 2009's off season with the Hawks. That was a 12-year deal, and he did not announce retirement from the NHL because of his skin condition that led to his career ending. So what the Hawks were able to do was put Husso on LTIR for one of the years left on the contract, and then the following offseason, the Hawks traded that contract to the Arizona Coyotes for the Coyotes to basically pay out the insurance on Marian Hossa.
The Coyotes
so my question
are known for paying off the insurance
Yes.
on
Chris
guys.
Pronger, Pavel Datsyuk, Marian
Mm-hmm.
Hossa, Dave Bolin. Names can be so many names have been gone through the Arizona system that never played there.
It's unreal.
How long do you think before
I still can't believe he had an allergic reaction to his hockey equipment. But
No.
I kind of feel him. I'm allergic to like 100 things, so
It's a legit thing.
it's sad.
It's a legit thing that happened for Hossa. There's been other cases of hockey players having similar situations where they're allergic to their equipment and they can't physically use their equipment anymore.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can see that. You would think that there might be some way to mitigate that, but
Well, Marian Hossa was taking a medication for a couple of years to help alleviate the reaction, but his doctor was saying this medication is hurting you more than you just not playing anymore.
But couldn't they make equipment out of a different material that he wasn't allergic to?
From what I'm aware of, Hossa probably tried out multiple different types of equipment and nothing helped him.
what was he allergic to? Do you know?
I don't know. I'm not 100% sure if I'm right on he tried out different equipment, but I'm pretty sure he probably would have, because he would not be wanting to not end his career the way it did, but he wanted to continue playing, but he physically couldn't with how he was allergic to his equipment, and his medication was basically making it worse for him.
Oh, I mean, it's kind of like
plus,
Motrin.
I think most of the equipment's made the same way with the same materials. And so, the technology to make different equipment with different material would take a while, and at that point, there's really it was really pointless to wait that long.
Yeah.
So,
look back at the LA Dodgers with Sandy Koufax. Back when he had that elbow problem. Nowadays you can literally have like a 10-minute operation, and he would have continued his career. But back then, he couldn't, so he retired really young.
And Bob, to answer your question, I'd rather the Hawks be good because that rivalry is a lot longer lived, and it's exciting when the Hawks are good. The Avs, I'm just bitter and angry at right now. So.
Yeah, I'm with you. I wouldn't mind them both being good. The three teams being decent and battling it out. But there's just right now with the way the Avs are designed and built, it just, I don't know. It just feels. It feels like they bought a championship to me, and that's that's fair. If they did, they did. But they didn't. But it's just how it feels for me right now.
I don't think they did. They had a very talented top nine. They have the talent, and they won despite having terrible goaltending. So, the talent is there. I don't think they bought it. I just don't like them.
And they drafted well.
I just don't like
about it.
Well, they made some huge trades. Whoops. They made some huge trades this last season.
Smart trades. They didn't make.
Yeah, they traded Connor Tennant for Kemper because Grubauer went to the Kraken, which didn't really work out for him.
No.
Yeah, I think Grubauer has a bounce back this coming year.
I think he will too, but at the same, I still don't think the Kraken are there. They don't have all the right. I don't think they have the right pieces in place just yet.
The Kraken are going to be interesting. The Pacific I think the Central and Pacific are switching places.
Oh yeah,
this season, right? This coming up season, I think they're going to switch places. I think the Pacific gets 5 teams in, and the Central gets 3 teams in. I like what Minnesota did. Say again.
The Coyotes are going to make the playoffs.
Well, I don't think they're going to make it, but I think they're going to challenge for it.
Yeah, I think they'll make it, but they're not going to be a threat for the cup. I think they'll probably, be maybe make it to the second round, but definitely get wiped out by the end. So, but it's a big step from being like literally garbage.
Wait, the Coyotes?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't see it. They are not ready.
I can see him I can see him challenging for 4th, but I don't see 4 teams from the Central getting in. Right?
We all can agree the Hawks are going to be the worst team in the division next year, right?
I think the Hawks are going to be the worst team in the league next year.
No, I think that's still going to stick with the Coyotes or Montreal.
I would say the Coyotes are a little bit better off than what the Hawks are. Montreal is a big question mark if Carey Price does return.
Right?
True. The good thing is I actually was at the David Benavidez, David Lemieux fight. And because there was randomly Canadian there, all these Montreal Canadiens reporters showed up to a boxing match. And we talked hockey. And we were actually at Gila River Arena looking at all the Coyote stuff getting torn down. I'm just looking at it like, wow, this is kind of sad. And then I was talking to the French reporter, and he was like, you know what? He was like, Montreal Canadiens, worst team in the league, first time in 82 years. But guess what? Stadium full. You guys have the place empty. And I was like, he's right.
Oh, is Montreal going to get rid of Allen? I could see.
There's a lot of talk that they could be moving him.
I could see that. I could see him moving Allen. I could see him getting something for Allen. Right? Not a lot.
They should have done it today to get another draft pick, but they could probably be moving him for a draft pick for next year.
Or a prospect.
I would say a draft pick with how deep next year's draft's supposed to be.
They say that every year, though.
No.
Every year.
The thing was, this year's draft was not supposed to be of deep draft because
Actually, a year
happened
ago,
with the
at
OHL.
the end of last season, the talk was this was going to be a deep draft where you could find NHL ready players up to the 4th round. And then by, I say January, maybe February, that talk shifted to where this wasn't a deep draft anymore.
The thing is because a lot of the OHL players that were in this year's draft did not play for over a year because the OHL was closed. And that's what killed this draft. This draft could have been a lot deeper than what it was this year. But what happened with the OHL last year and what happened there, it basically killed this draft and how the prospects were, because a lot of the prospects who play in the OHL tend to be a higher overall pick. This year, not so much because of what happened.
As far as Lindgren goes, I can see Lindgren getting signed. Hoffer is ready. Hoffer's ready. He doesn't need a lot. And this one here, no, I don't want Allen back. Right?
Allen's washed up.
Yeah, I think he is too. And I don't think Allen would come back. I think you might start with Lindgren as a backup for the first month or two. Give Hoffer a little bit of time, get back into the swing of things, and then bring him back in.
Lindgren's not a great backup. I will just say that.
Nope. I would say that we're going to have Hoffer up. We might wait a while to play him. We might let Benny have the first 10 games, but I don't see them starting Lindgren as the backup. I don't. He's a great option if you've got nothing, but
he's a third string backup at most.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. I love Lindgren. I love his, swagger, I guess you'd call it. Chucky Sideburns in his 5-0, last season was great, but it's unrealistic that would keep up.
I kind of look at Lindgren kind of like the Curtis McDermott of that team. Because honestly, Curtis McDermott is one of the most popular Avalanche players, but he's scratched all the time. And then, of course, when he was drunk on the bar and stood up with Stanley Cup and fell backwards, and I was like, and that's my GM, my general manager at my business, actually got a selfie with McDermott like about 5 to 10 minutes before that happened.
Nice. The player that reminds me of Charlie Lindgren a lot is honestly Andrew Hammond. Hammond, a quality third string backup. He had a hell of a start with the Ottawa Senators. And after that, whatever happened with Hammond? He's been moved around so many teams, and he's a third string backup still.
Yeah, he was a flash in the pan. I don't know, but see, the thing is with Lindgren, and I say this, and I know what everyone says, I get it, but we said a lot of the same things about Bennington.
Except right? Lindgren is older than Bennington.
And Lindgren has NHL experience. Bennington really didn't have NHL experience when he came in. Lindgren played for the Montreal Canadiens, and he was terrible.
I did think that Lindgren should have played the elimination game. I absolutely did, and I'm not gonna back off of that. I was not sold on Husso, though. Husso did play very well in that game. I admit that, but he gave up that last goal that he should have had. Right? Would Lindgren have done it? I don't know, but I wasn't sold on Husso.
If Lindgren was in, we would have lost by more than one goal.
It would have been,
and I was at the game.
It would have been a 10-goal game.
Yeah, if that was Lindgren, he would not have been able to make the saves that Husso was making. It wouldn't have been close at all.
But the one thing that Lindgren does that Husso doesn't do is he plays the puck. So if he's playing the puck, maybe he's
but
getting
he's
the puck out.
shaky when he does it. He's not sure of himself whatsoever.
He's flopping like a freaking fish out of water half the time.
Mm-hmm. I love Lindgren.
That was Husso too.
I love Lindgren. I loved him whenever it was, the preseason. I loved him when he was playing. But we got to be realistic here. He wouldn't have done
here's one for you there, Ryan. I'm glad that the Chicharin talk can die now. Didn't want him, and especially not for what Arizona was asking. I'm on board. I don't think Chicharin would have been fit in good
No, I don't. I agree with that.
with St. Louis.
Yeah, he's a great player, but I just don't think that he would be a good fit.
Yeah, he's just I don't know. He just doesn't seem to be that. It's just something about his game that just doesn't.
He's solid, but he doesn't have that X factor that makes him worth what he's asking. It happens. It's
Right.
I kind of look at it right now, like right now, Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. You probably know about boxing. They're trying to negotiate the super fight, but one averages 300,000 pay-per-views. The other one's averaging 113,000. But the one averaging the bad pay-per-view numbers is trying to say that he deserves the most money, and everyone is like, "No, you're insane! Like you can't, like you would bankrupt the fight." And so that's how I look at him.
This is how I think.
Good,
but
but he
this is
doesn't
how
have that X factor that says, "Hey, this guy's worth X amount of money."
Yeah. This is the way I think the fight should be done. If you win the fight, you get X amount of money. If you lose the fight, you get X amount of money, and there's a big separation between the two. Doesn't matter who.
Worked that way.
Huh?
I wish it worked that way, but
If it worked that way, you'd have a lot better fighters.
Well, not just that, but you would actually get fights done. And I was 15 years old when Mayweather-Pacquiao was supposed to happen, and I was definitely out of college when the fight happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm old enough to remember Spinks Ali, right?
Good times, man.
And that was a fight where Spinks got paid almost nothing, and Ali, guaranteed, and Ali just wasn't ready for the fight.
Mm-hmm.
It's when they switched it up in the next fight that Ali comes in and destroys Spinks, and then you've got
at the same time, Ali at that point, he was already starting to display symptoms of Parkinson's and probably shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
Probably should have retired a lot sooner.
You also have Tyson, the Tyson Douglas fight,
Mm-hmm.
right? Tyson Douglas did not make much in that fight.
No.
No, Tyson was paid. He didn't train. He was, doing other things, just not taking care of what he was supposed to take care of. Well, guys, we're up over an hour. Say again, sir?
Douglas did that the very next fight. He made $24 million, didn't train to fight Holyfield, and as soon as he stepped into the ring and saw Holyfield, he literally said under his breath, "God help me."
Well, guys, hey, Ryan, first of all, let me say this. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Of course,
right?
Man.
And you know what? You're going to have I put the link in the group chat. Anytime, bud, you want to come in, if I don't have 4 people in, I'll let you in, man. You have an open invitation. You and Shaggy, you've been great guests. And Wendy, you're always welcome, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Ashley, thanks for showing up today, man.
Yeah, it's about time.
Yeah, about time.
We love my hockey.
Yeah, we all love it. It was a great show, guys. Great show. I don't think I'm going to do a show tomorrow unless something happens. I don't think it will. I really don't. We'll probably be back on Monday, 9:00 Central Standard Time. So this is Guy, the Hawaii Blues fan, for Ryan O'Hara. Ryan O'Reilly. Ryan O'Hara from Inside the Rink. Nick from Windy City Hockey, and my lovely, lovely, friendly co-host, Miss Ashley Slapshot Jones, saying aloha mahalo, and I'll see you all on the next BlueNote Fan Report. Aloha!